Cardigan Bay dominates the coastal profile of Wales, a long sweeping arc which joins the Llŷn Peninsula in the north with Pembrokeshire in the south. A huge lee shore which faces the prevailing winds coming in off the Atlantic. The coastline is characterised by craggy cliffs interspersed with wide estuaries silted up with spits and bars and the occasional island. But what lives beneath the waves of Cardigan Bay? Well, dolphins for one. This is New Quay, 2/3 of the way down the bay, providing a perfect platform to watch the daily visitors. Here, real, wild dolphins are a lot closer than you might think. Despite the beaches packed with holidaymakers, the dolphins can be seen coming right into the harbour, swimming around the boats, windsurfers and swimmers, and skirting the shoreline. From the quay, it's easy to spot the surfacing dorsal fins around the bay.
There must be something important about Cardigan Bay. It's one of only 2 locations in the United Kingdom where we seem to have a group of dolphins year-round. We don't know why Cardigan Bay is special for the dolphins, whether it's food or just the habitat in which they're living.
There are 3 types of dolphins in Cardigan Bay. The most visible from the shore are bottlenose dolphins, named after their prominent nose or beak, and are probably the most recognised dolphin species in the world. And these ones in Cardigan Bay are among the biggest in the world, reaching up to 4 metres in length. Cardigan Bay is thought to be the home of about 140 bottlenose dolphins, here from April to November. Although highly visible, this resident population is rare. The only other one in the UK is in Moray Firth in the northeast of Scotland. Yet unlike their Scottish cousins, relatively little is known about the Welsh family, and research is ongoing. Common dolphins like these can also be spotted in Cardigan Bay, although usually offshore. However, in August of 2005, members of Sea Trust came across what's called a superpod of common dolphins off the Pembrokeshire coast. The sea bubbled with hundreds of dolphins breaching the surface for as far as the eye could see. The cause of the superpod remains a mystery. There may have been abundant fish stocks here, but the sight was so remarkable it made national and international news.
We're in amongst what has got to be by any terms seen as a superpod. We've estimated at least 500-600 animals, could well be more, certainly no less.
Although one of the smallest species, common dolphins are one of the fastest, reaching speeds of up to 27 miles per hour, often leaping and slapping the water as they speed through the waves. They grow up to 2.5 meters in length. They have a tall and slender dorsal fin, surrounded by a dark cape, and a striking white underside with occasionally a yellow streak. Risso are the 3rd type of dolphin you may see off the Cardigan Bay coastline. Their tall dorsal fins, up to 0.5 metre in height, and grey and white bodies, heavily scarred from the teeth of other rissos, are very distinctive. Their head is square-shaped and blunt-fronted. They usually live offshore, but they have been regularly seen here off Bardsey in North Wales. Their affinity to islands is one of the mysteries which surrounds this enigmatic species. Bottlenose dolphin bodies are robust, packed with muscle. They live in groups or pods, communicating through high-pitched clicks and whistles. These sound waves, usually at low frequency, bounce off objects. The feedback echoes enable the animal to generate a mental picture of their surrounding. This echolocation is useful in avoiding obstacles in murky water and hunting fish or other creatures. If the return echo is of interest, the dolphin may issue higher frequency sounds to get more information. Dolphins are a good example of how mammals who returned to the sea 60 million years ago have adapted so perfectly. What remains of their hind legs are hidden below layers of streamlined blubber. Their skin, up to 20 times thicker than land mammals, may seem smooth, but it is in fact made up of many small folds, which reduces water turbulence. This, combined with their torpedo-shaped bodies, means they have evolved to glide effortlessly through the water, powered by a muscular tail. The tail pushes downwards and springs back voluntarily as an energy-saving device. The dorsal fin and flippers act like directional rudders. Dolphins eat mostly fish, and scientists believe that one of the reasons why the dolphin population has endured in Cardigan Bay is that it hasn't been overfished like elsewhere. Fish balls like this one are a magnet to those higher up the food chain. Here at another fish ball off the Pembrokeshire coast, gannets crash dive into the sea to feed.
Whoa, jackpot! Absolutely newborn.
These baby common dolphins are so small they have probably only just been born. Newborns are usually about 80 centimetres in length. Surveys by Sea Trust around the group of rocks called the Smalls off the tip of Pembrokeshire have spotted calves with their mothers 50% of the time, some very young, indicating the area may be a popular nursery. Here mothers and calves approach the survey boat and enjoy riding the bow wave. In the north, at the other end of Cardigan Bay, this is a newborn baby bottlenose dolphin swimming with its mother off Abersoch, the birth ring still visible around its body. Among bottlenose there's a strong bond between mother and calf. Gestation is 12 months. The calves will suckle for up to 2 years, and they will stay together for up to 6 years. Although born dark, calves are noticeably paler than the adult. They change gradually over time, finally acquiring the counter-shading pattern which allows them to blend into their environment. When a calf is first born, its mother will whistle over and over again so the calf learns her sound and can find her in the school. This is very useful as older calves can swim off together. This older calf was filmed off Aberporth Headland, clearly bigger, more confident and more curious, but the mother is never far away, swimming just below. Behaviour varies between dolphin species, and a lot is unknown. Common dolphins are extremely acrobatic swimmers, leaping frequently between relatively short dives. They are very sociable, usually seen in groups of over 30 in Welsh waters, and they work closely together to herd fish. They are very vocal, making frequent high-pitched squeaks which can be heard above the surface. The bottlenose dolphins in Cardigan Bay are big and boisterous, with males often forming their own groups. They share common characteristics with other dolphins, like tail slapping, for example, which may be an individual advertising its size or strength, or it could also be used to herd fish or to communicate. Leaping, sometimes several meters in the air, can be used to gain speed during fish chases, play or combat. Dolphins can fight viciously, and leaps could be to avoid attackers or land on adversaries. They are also known to attack porpoises.
We get this image fed to us through TV and natural history programs, the cute flipper image. But what we find in Cardigan Bay, they're quite boisterous animals, probably aggressive in nature occasionally as well. Some of the individuals we've identified, they have flesh wounds, they have lots of nicks, scratches and scars on their fins. So it's quite a boisterous community here.
They can be aggressive. They certainly are towards other animals and towards their own species. We have harbour porpoises that come washed ashore dead that we know through post-mortem analyses have been killed by bottlenose dolphins. We're still not quite sure why that's the case, though there are various theories. And if you've ever seen notices about swimming with dolphins, you'll be aware there's always warnings that they're big animals and can be aggressive. They could perceive you as a threat.
This dead female porpoise was found floating off Minke Head and towed in for post-mortem examination.
This is a fully grown female harbour porpoise. It's in fairly good condition, decomposition-wise. We would classify this as slight decomposition. And it was towed in this afternoon in the Minke area for me. And this has quite obviously been killed by bottlenose dolphins. You can see here we've got teeth rake marks. The measurement of these are exactly 11.5 millimetres apart, which is the exact spacing of bottlenose dolphin teeth. And you can see this animal has been grabbed by the tailstock and then flung across the surface of the water. And as the animal's left the bottlenose dolphin's jaw, it's caused these rake marks to appear. And also on the tailstock here, you can also see we've got four marks there where it's also been grabbed on the tailstock. The whole of this side here, you can see the ribs, there's no ribs. Every single rib there is broken. There's no support here at all. It's just a big bag. It's just a very floppy bag at the moment. And I can feel, as I push it, I can feel the ends of the ribs grating together. And as we lifted it, actually, we could feel the joints in the spine pulling apart as well, so that the spine on this has been severed as well. Back here, it's quite solid. These ribs are still intact, but up here you can see it's completely gone. And this is also a lactating female, so there's a calf out there somewhere as well.
Yeah, mother and calf.
It's estimated there are about 400 porpoises in Cardigan Bay, and while more numerous than dolphins, they are a lot harder to spot. They are a lot smaller, about 1.5 meters long on average, and their newborn young are hardly bigger than a large salmon. When they surface, they hardly rise out of the water and will surface quickly and consecutively a few times before taking a longer dive. Their dorsal fins are short and small, and their bodies are stocky. In recent years, more and more dead porpoises have been washed up on Welsh beaches, not as victims of pollution, but of dolphin attacks. Perhaps because they compete with their cetacean cousins for dwindling fish stocks.
If the public find a cetacean, which is a dolphin, whale or porpoise washed up on the beach, first of all establish whether it's live or dead. Don't touch the animal. It's not a good idea to touch them without wearing gloves. If the animal's alive, then contact the RSPCA immediately. But then if it's dead, then phone the National Strandings number for Wales, which is 01348 875 000, and I will come out to it and then I'll assess the condition, take samples, and if it's fresh, we'll take it away for post-mortem to the London or Liverpool University.
Apart from the bottlenose dolphin, the rocky coastline of Cardigan is also a special area of conservation because of the seal population. This is Kumtidi Beach near Llangrannog, where at least 2 Atlantic grey seal pups have been born for the last 4 years, adding to the population of 5,000 in the South Cardigan Bay and Pembrokeshire area. The bull can weigh up to 230 kilograms and measure over 2 meters in length. Here the bull stays around the 2 females, but he doesn't watch over the pups. If disturbed, mothers can abandon their pups prematurely, so members of the public who come here during the pupping season in September to watch are banned from the beach. It's an offence to recklessly or deliberately disturb both seals and dolphins. scientists are particularly worried about the effect of speedboats following pods, and they are concerned about the impact of canoes. Researchers indicated that dolphins don't like them, although the reasons are unclear. To monitor the coastline, Cardigan County Council has established a code of conduct and a rota of voluntary observers that keep an eye on the marine heritage coast from Minke Head to Cardigan Island.
The introduction of the code of conduct has meant that the trip boats are stopping more when they're seeing the animals, they're keeping their distance more. And what's happening is that the dolphins, there is a clear correlation between the dolphin activity in that they're staying around the trip boats more, and we're recording more incidents of bow riding, which basically means that the trip boats, the people on the trip boats are happy and the dolphins are happy. So that's the sort of common sense message that we're working towards.
There are regular boat trips out of Minke, Aberystwyth and other coastal towns along the special area of conservation.
And then off down to Untitled Minke Headland and Harbour and Untitled, both feeding areas for the Bottlenose Dolphins.
These trips are important, not only for raising public awareness about the richness of marine life in West Wales, but they also generate sustainable incomes for the local economy.
You don't want to frighten them off the ledges there, so we're just going to keep going. If we stop and hang around, they're going to jump off. Right, on the left here we've got the first of the bird colonies. This is where we get the razorbills, guillemots and kittiwakes. Herring gulls, fulmars, shags, cormorants, peregrine falcons, oyster catchers and choughs all nesting on this headland. It really is a very important area for the nesting birds. On the left here we've got the second bird colony, much larger as you can see than the first. And up on the left here you can see row upon row of razorbill and guillemot on the ledges. It's this great diversity and variety of wildlife that makes this area so important, hence its designation as Britain's first marine heritage coast. Boat trips are my living. I make a living out of taking people out to see the wildlife, and to sort of, not to justify it, to make it more interesting, to make it more valid almost, I take people out and we collect data on those trips, so it's research funded by the paying public.
Look, I just saw one of them right over there. Right up.
People who haven't seen the dolphins before, it's a life-changing experience sometimes. They're amazing, you know, to get a big wild animal coming up to the side of the boat, having a look at them, they're always amazed at their size, their agility.
Hello, my name's Harry.
Hi there, my name's Caroline.
And we're here today to try and film some dolphins.
As you can see, the weather's not quite with us today, but the sea is calm and hopefully we'll get some nice shots.
Local schools can also get involved in discovering more about the biodiversity on their doorstep.
Oh yes, I got that one!
These pupils from Aberystwyth Comprehensive filmed their own dolphin discovery report, learning about the environment through media studies.
Oh, beauty!
Many years ago, I think I was on the beach. You know, there's a big rock.
Okay, we've just seen a baby seal over there with its parents nearby protecting it. It was a beautiful little animal. I've just heard that its father was a grey Atlantic greyback seal. It's one of the biggest seals we got on the Isles of Britain. So, great day. We had some good footage of dolphins. That was the main aim of the day. But the next thing on our schedule now is to get some information from the Marine Centre. So that's where we're off to now. Could you go through the dolphins you got in your catalogue, see if our footage matches one of them?
Yeah, no problem. Here we've got some of the calves we've got, and as I say, we've got about 10 calves here. This one's actually been seen a lot. This one and its mother actually come into the harbour a lot, and they are quite often found down by Innislochton, which is where you filmed your calf this morning.
Right.
So it could have been this one. This one sort of fits what I've seen. This one as well, this is another one, the same sort of age as the other one that I just showed you. And this one as well has been seen quite a lot around the bay. This one here, however, this was a much smaller animal. And so it's unlikely to have been this animal. As you can see, it's very young. It's a very pale grey colour. It's also got these fetal folds. These are marks, they're almost stretch marks from when the animal's actually born.
Scientists and volunteers from the Cardigan Bay Marine Wildlife Centre have been out sighting dolphins and porpoises for over a decade, trying to identify each individual animal by their dorsal fin. From this data, 80 individual bottlenose dolphins have been clearly identified, and they return every year. There are many organisations like the Cardigan Bay Marine Wildlife Centre, Sea Trust and Sea Watch, which involve people in dolphin watching with special events, courses and information. The third species which makes this area of international importance and in need of special conservation are a lot smaller. You can just catch a glimpse of them here, honeycomb worms. These worm communities create honeycomb structures that are a welcome habitat for a range of other species.
If the reef was underwater, what we'd see then would be the worms actually coming out and feeding. They would just sort of come out, and they're filter feeders, so they will feed on organic matter. And these extensive reefs are a habitat which is scarce within the intertidal area of the UK and also within Europe. So what we're seeing in Cardigan Bay is an important presence of this reef habitat that's formed by the honeycomb worm.
The honeycomb worm reef stabilises in Cardigan Bay an otherwise mobile cobble shore, creating pockets of high biodiversity such as a rock pool, also providing a stable habitat for algae and other animals. But the undersea life of Cardigan Bay is not just about worms, seals and dolphins. There is a vast range of biodiversity, including starfish, anemones, shellfish, several species of crabs, and abundant fish life like sea bass. The forest of kelp flowing in the current helps protect the habitat and provides a nursery for fish and other species. Summer visitors include jellyfish, sometimes arriving in swarms, sunfish, and basking sharks with their distinctive floppy fins. These are filter feeders and, although enormous, are completely harmless. The summer migration also includes the Minke whale, the most common whale to be found in the Irish Sea. It used to be rarely spotted along the Welsh coastline, but this minke was recently found off the Cardigan coastline, trapped in a net. Unable to feed, it was emaciated, and attempts to save it failed. However, in 2005, both humpback and fin whales were seen not far from the shoreline. These visits could be further indicators of plentiful food in Cardigan Bay with the water getting warmer, or of dwindling food stocks out at sea, forcing sea mammals further inshore. No one yet knows, but Cardigan Bay does appear to be a haven for sea life.
I think Cardigan Bay is probably in pretty good health. It's a coastline with little urban development. It's quite exposed to natural influences of wind and sea swell and so on. And the waters are pretty clear. They face the West Atlantic. We get nice clean waters. There are lots of threats that the bottlenose dolphins face, but I don't think at the present there is one main threat. And with most wildlife, invariably it's a combination of threats that leads to their demise in one form or another. The key ones, if there are key ones, are probably threats that relate to the availability of food, so that's probably fisheries. Threats that relate to water quality and pollution, so we're talking disposal of heavy metals and PCBs and things like that. And also potentially in the long term, disturbance from human activity, particularly the wildlife watching type activity.
My hope for the future for the town and the dolphins is that Minke appreciates how lucky it is to have this great, not just the dolphins, but the great variety and diversity of wildlife that we have around here in the area. You know, Newquay's lucky to have this great diversity of wildlife in the area, and we need to look after it. But on the other hand, we need to allow the public to go out and enjoy it as well. So there's a very fine balance that we need to find and create.
All the cetaceans, seals, worms and other sea life we have seen face threats from human activities such as marine pollution, reduced food supply, overfishing and coastal development. These threats have been minimised in Cardigan Bay, which is one of the reasons why there is such abundant sea life here. And we can keep Cardigan Bay a haven for sea life for generations to come, only with your help and support.